So here we are, sharing secrets of the soil with me, your host, Regenerative. Hello, soil lovers, and welcome to another episode of Secrets of the Soil. I'm your host, Regenerative, and today we're with a guest who loves getting their hands not only dirty, but filthy with soil. I'd love you to meet Ryan Young. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Ray. Pleasure to be here.
Excellent. So share with us
on the other end of the microphone.
Ah, nice. Share with our soil lovers a little bit about who you are and how you love getting your hands dirty.
I used to be Melbourne-based. My wife and I are on the road full-time now doing what we do, which is landscape design with a holistic spin. So my focus is soil. As we know, it's without soil, we have nothing. We don't have water, air, plants, meat, all the above. So, we're traveling around just doing what we love and living the dream, basically, and going to different farms or different properties and helping out where they need it, because a lot of people are short of labour at the moment, and especially someone that's got a bit of expertise in certain industries. So, that's what we're doing.
So this all started from a landscaping type of business. You were doing more like home renovation, landscaping type of work. And then COVID hit, you thought, no, this is not it. Hit the road on a van, which I was, kind of how we met on Instagram, because I was doing my little mini road trip as well. And you gave me some tips, which were awesome. And you've continued it on. I've taken a little bit of a backseat approach to that for now. So what are like some of the fingers of the pulse of the farmers when you're talking to them from a regenerative space, and how is your landscaping world being able to help with the soil of what the farmers are needing help with?
Oh, I could go back to kind of explain if we want to go right back, but I've had a passion for horticulture things all my life. I've been into growing plants. I got into permaculture pretty young. Then met someone, went into partnership in business growing culinary herbs for the makeup industry and tea and things like that. We also did biodynamics, and once you're in permaculture, biodynamics, we're also certified organic. It's all about the soil, and it's as people out there know, So anyway, we decided to continue after the permaculture farm property. I went out on my own and just did landscape design in the same field, and then we started our own landscape business because it was hard to find people that could implement it to how my plan was meant to be implemented. So, you can give someone a plan and say, this is what I want, but it's not. I needed to get everything from the start. Everything that was on site needs to stay on site, reuse it, fix the soil that's existing, it's so much more than just handing over instructions to a puzzle and getting someone to put it together. So I was frustrated, and so I started doing it myself, and ran a very successful business in Melbourne. And after COVID hit, we're like, we need to get out of here, and we got on the road and meeting some amazing people, especially in the regenerative space. So they're very happy to see a like-minded person and someone that's reaching out and saying, we're here to help. And whether it's, a small thing on the farm or something major, doesn't matter. We're here to help.
Love that. I think, what a time now, because everyone's really starting to question where their food's coming from, meeting the farmer, going to farmers markets. You've kind of been able to get this exclusive peek into some of the farms and how they operate. What has been some of the refreshing moments? You go onto a farm, you're helping a regenerative farmer. Where do you feel refreshed and see that bright light of, these farmers are finally getting it?
When you walk into their machinery shed and there's no drums of empty chemicals.
I love that. So, that's one of the things that I hear all the time, especially with Helen and Hugo, who ran an ag shop when they started Farming Secrets. They were selling skull and bone chemicals to food providers and growers, and it's kind of like scratch your head going, how are we putting that on the food and what's happening at the other end and where's it going and killing all that biology and the life, in the soil. And I think everyone had really good intentions. Like everyone thought they were doing the right thing, but now we're just in this much more advanced technological space where we can see the damage that it's caused. We can see the life dying under a microscope, things that never were done years ago. But I love the fact that you're going into sheds and all those drums of chemicals are missing. What are people substituting that with?
Sorry, cut out there, mate.
What are they substituting all the chemicals with?
A lot of compost teas, seaweed solutions, things like that. A lot of it's now being produced on farm, which is amazing. Compost is a big thing. It's more building the soils thing now, which is And they, the exciting thing, dung beetles. Everyone's like, oh, I've got dung beetles, and I'm like, yeah, dung beetles are good. I've never been so excited about poo.
I know. I see it all on the Facebook groups, people taking photos and sharing it. It's a quite fascinating situation. Are you finding that these farms are getting dung beetles naturally, or are they releasing them with an intention to increase the population on their farm?
It depends on the property, but yeah, most of the time it's quite natural. Build it and they will come, as they say. Yeah, but I've been to a property that's that had dung in the paddock for 6 months, the same piece just sitting there, and it turned into a white rock hard thing. And when we left, it was still there and nothing had changed. You lift it up and it's still solid. It's sad. It's just crazy.
For the soil lovers who don't know the purpose of a dung beetle, can you just explain what the purpose of a dung beetle does?
They eat the dung, they bury it in the ground, and in a way build the soil, build the humus, and get the microbiology happening in the soil. They're kind of the first flock of seagulls, I guess, to come in and take away the bulk of it. They're amazing to watch. And they
don't require a salary at the end of the week for all their hard work.
No. They work very hard. I mean, I wouldn't eat poo for money. So, yeah.
I know some of the videos I see, these dung beetles, rolling it up into little balls and putting it down to like tunnels and really getting that fertility that comes from the dung into the ground where it's needed, rather than oxidizing, by the sun and the oxygen and just going to waste, putting the minerals where the plant matters actually matter. You mentioned when we were chatting before, and in your bio, about feeding the soil rather than the plant. Can you just talk to a little bit about that? Because a lot of people think that when you put minerals on the garden or in the farm, it's about the plant. But what's your kind of take on feeding the soil instead of the plant?
Well, I guess it's you're feeding the soil. The soil then in turn feeds the plants. It's not you're trying to feed everything that's in the soil. So your microbiology, your biota, your earthworms, your grubs, everything that's in there, they're what provides the food to the plant. And so keeping in mind that that's what you want to be feeding, because the plant will take what it needs from that, rather than throwing on some fossil fuel granular stuff in a bucket onto the soil and telling the plant this is what you're having, whether the plant loves it or not. It's getting it. So doing it naturally, the plant can take what it wants when it needs it, rather than being force fed.
Yeah, I love that. And there's so many non-bioavailable minerals in the ground that when the biology is correct, it kind of unlocks. So just throwing more on doesn't necessarily solve the problem. A soil test might say you're low on nitrogen, so you throw nitrogen, but maybe it's there locked, and you need some of the other friendly, willing creatures under the ground to unlock it. And so I think, that mindset of feeding the soil and understanding what the soil needs is a great kind of thing that soil lovers can take away and just start looking at the landscape a little bit differently and going, what does the soil need, not what does the plant need? I think that's a really kind of cool distinction, and one that took me a little while, even like reframing what weeds mean. Weeds are plants, and they're giving us signals. And,
absolutely.
So
indicator plant.
Yeah. So talk about weeds and your paradigm shift around understanding what weeds are and how people just feel like they need to be poisoned.
Yeah, well, like we said, they're an indicator plant. If something like a dock or a sedge or something is telling you that the soil needs oxygen in it. It's a bit waterlogged or it's compacted. It's they're always got something deep tap root plants. They obviously require a bit more mineral. It all depends on the plant, but I'm a big one for it's there for a reason. Just let it do its thing. I mean, it could take 500 years to fix that spot, but if we know exactly why that plant is in that spot, we can then speed up nature a little bit and fix it, and then that plant might disappear on its own rather than chemical application, more of a biological application, I guess.
And if it's there trying to fix something and then we keep killing it, it's never going to fix the problem. So it's going to keep coming back.
It'll keep coming back.
Yeah, it's a crazy thought, infinity loop of going crazy, doing the same thing and expecting a different result, So
yeah, nature's got all the time in the world. We're just in the way.
Oh, absolutely. I know. Best thing we can do is just get out of the way and let nature do what nature does best and let the biology, the biodiversity just kind of flourish. I want to touch on the whole COVID. I feel like the pandemic created a bit more people curious about where their food's coming from. With your experience of like meeting these regenerative farmers and spending time, in their home and on their farm, are you noticing a change in the way that the farmers are marketing themselves or selling produce? Is there more farm gate programs or people selling directly to consumer rather than big, distributors and supermarkets?
Yeah, it's funny. It's most of the time they say we can't produce enough, and we don't always sell through a shop, but just the farm gates is enough for them to sell out. People are searching for these products, and like as we're traveling around, I'm like, where's a regen farm? Where's a regen farm? I need to go and buy, stock up on meat this week or veggies or something like that. And yeah, it's as soon as you find them, you give them a call and they're like, oh, sorry, mate, we're sold out. We've got some in a couple of weeks or whatever. But yeah, it's selling itself. People want this. People want this regen grass-fed. They want it. They know that the farmers giving their animals everything they need, and in turn, we eat it. And as a few people have said, you are what you eat, but what you eat eats, kind of thing, that, and we've all heard that, and it's so true, and it's, and it goes so much deeper than just us eating. It's the farmers protecting the land, looking after the land, and I just love it. I love the people I've met on this journey. It's just been incredible.
Amazing, super inspiring to watch your journey through your Instagram and chatting, between our conversations. It was really great, and I had the same experience meeting and seeing, and there's only so much you can convey through a photo or through a video, but when you're actually on the fields, you can feel it. There's a energy, there's a vibration, there's just a value alignment as well between you and that farmer, and I think that's what's happening with customers and foodies.
Yeah. And you contact the farm and you say, oh, this is what I'm doing, and they're like, come here, drive over here now, come and see us, have a cuppa, have a chat. But a conventional farmer, oh, nah, sorry, mate.
Yep.
We haven't got time, or it's not open to the public, and it's like, what are you hiding? Regen, organic, biodynamic farmers, they're all like, come on down, mate, come down. They're always happy to, even if they're not a farm gate, they're more than happy to show you around.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's, I think what it is, it's like that open door policy where it's like, we might not be certified organic, or we might not be all these ticks and bells and whistles, but come onto the farm and see for yourself. And then you decide whether you want to buy from me, and I think that ability to not use biosecurity, and I understand some industries have biosecurity risks, but again, it's like, what are they hiding, or why is their farm running so low on resilience that it is at risk of those things? Because I've seen regenerative models where they throw all that stuff out the window and everything just keeps going up and up. And the farm just becomes really resilient from weeds, pests, and everything in between. And I think that's the penny moment drop for a lot of farmers to go, there is no certification needed. It's like, come and see it for yourself. We're throwing
but even certification's a hard thing. The back on our old property, we were certified organic, but it's not enough for me now. Like all it is reducing inputs. It doesn't mean you're doing anything better. It's just you're not doing as much on the input side of things. So having an organic regen or biodynamic or whatever, you know that it's more. You know, you're putting back. You know, it's like a bank account. You know, you can take the money out. If you're not putting money back in, the bank will close it. You know, it's just how it is. You got to put in more than you're taking.
Yep. And I think that's the mindset shift of a regenerative farmer is how am I making this farm better today than what it was yesterday, better this year than last year, better my generation than the last generation. You know, I think that kind of leaving the land better than we found it is a great ethos just for humanity in general, you know?
Yeah. And when we do our designs, you know, our implementations, it's like I'm thinking 50, 100 years ahead when I'm putting this in. You know, most of my gardens I'll never be able to see them finished because you know, I know what it is in my head. Like when I do it, I know what I'm in 100, 200 years, what it's going to look like. But I'll never be able to see it at the end. But I don't build it for me. I build it for future generations.
I love that. That's, you know, to be able to visualize what it will look like, but then knowing that you won't actually physically see it, that, you know, it's such an awesome gift and a legacy. We've thrown the word regenerative around a lot during this conversation and I love it, but I really want to know what the word regenerative means to you personally.
Oh, it's kind of like the word sustainable, you know, it's at that point where it's getting used a lot. And I feel it's not as bad as sustainable. Sustainable's lost its thing now completely. I mean, you know, but regen, I guess it's about leaving something better than it was when you got there. That's how I see that. You know, so when we leave, it's going to be 100 times better than when we turned up, and it's going to keep going. It's going to keep evolving and becoming better and better and better, you know, over time. And I guess that's what I see. Yeah, it's a hard thing going back on that certification thing. You know, people talk about, oh, should we get regen certification and all that? And it's, you know, you don't want it to lose its thing. You know, I don't even know what the word is for it. You know, what that thing I'm talking about, but. You know, I think we're for all those certification things, sustainability, organic, biodynamic, all that. Regen, I think it's probably the best we can get. That's going to be like a natural system. You know what I mean? And yeah. I kind of know what I'm talking about in my head, but it's not coming out the same. But yeah,
no, I get it as well, because like that's the thing. The word regenerative has kind of gone down that path of like greenwashing and thrown on every package, and it's like it's been tarnished in a way. But at the essence of it, the regenerative part is all hard. It's healing. It's self-fulfilling, and I think certification ruin that. You know, because then it'll become a checklist. Like, do you meet these 6, you know, check boxes? And if yes, then you're regenerative. But that is not measurable, because sometimes farms, the same as what you said with organics, like some chemicals are organic friendly. Like, how does that make sense? You know what I mean? So like, or in some countries it's organic and in other countries it's banned. It's like, how does that make sense? You know? And so there's just all this confusion, and then you got to pay to play. So like, you pay, you know, some farmers can't afford to pay for the tick, but they're more organic, you know, and what I would call like more organic, or, you know, beyond organic, you know? And so why should those people miss out on the whole branding exercise just because they don't have the deeper pockets or they don't really align with it? So I completely understand what you're saying. And I think the word regenerative from a marketing point of view has been misused, and that's kind of what will happen all the time. As
long as it doesn't get stolen and used by the wrong people, you know, but this is the thing, you know, when a farmer decides he wants to go down the regen path, they change anyway. Their mindset changes. Everything about them changes, you know, not just their farm, you know, their family, what they put on their own table, in their own mouths, you know, they start looking at their health in a completely holistic way. Like if the farmer's not healthy, he can't be healthy for his livestock or his crops. It's a whole,
Yep.
yeah. You know what it's like. You've met these people that, that.
You've got to be a regenerative human before you can have a
100%. Yeah.
I agree.
If you're not looking after number one, what's the point? You got to look after yourself to be able to give the love to everyone else, I
love that, Ryan. I'm loving this conversation. Soil lovers, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to talk about Ryan's love for music and how that overlaps with the world of soil. So stick with us. Hello, soil lovers. I hope you're enjoying today's guest and this podcast, but I wanted to just let you know that when you get excited about soil, just as you're hearing about our guests, then you will want to check out the Soil Learning Centre. The Soil Learning Centre is a hub that we put together and digitalized all the content over the years that were originally on DVD into this online learning experience. So if any of our guests or any of the topics that we speak about during the podcast whet your appetite and you want to get your hands dirtier and dig deeper and get educated around different things around soil, whether it be biodynamics, permaculture, whether it be using a microscope, or whether it just be hanging out with other like-minded educators, mentors, and facilitators, then the Soil Learning Centre is a place for you to hang out and dig deeper. That's the soillearningcentre.com. We have lots of different programs, courses, and even a membership. So if you want to belong to a community of other soil lovers, then that's the place to hang out. Well, until we meet again, enjoy the rest of this podcast. Back to the program. Welcome back, soil lovers. You're hanging out with Ryan Young and Regen Ray. We're geeking out about soil. But Ryan, you also have a passion for music, and we've had a couple of other music guests on our show as well. It seems to be a common theme. How has music overlapped in this wonderful world of soil and nature and healing?
When I design, music's in my ears. So I have my trusty headphones going flat out. It just helps me get into a space. Depending on the style of garden I'm doing, depends on what I'm listening to. It's either a bit of chill music or into a bit of dark metal. Just depends on where my head's at the time. But music goes on in the morning and it gets turned off at night. It's there all day. And when I'm implementing gardens, when I'm working the land, whatever I'm doing, it's music all the way. And these new generation headphones with the block out thing, I can use them for PPE as well. Happy days.
Yeah, the noise cancelling actually. I didn't know that they could double as a two-purpose. I love things that multi-purpose and multitask. So, and are you writing music or creating music or just listening and using the energy of that music to help you design and get into flow? Yeah, look, it's I'm pretty bad with music. Like, I can play the didgeridoo, I can play the djembe. I like to have a muck around like that every now and then. I've been doing a bit of kirtan with the wife. She's a yoga instructor, so that's pretty exciting. But it's more just to, when you write into the music, you can hear things that help guide you sometimes, and it puts me in a bit of a headspace, and then all of a sudden it starts flowing, and I'm just like, it's like creative diarrhea. Yeah, it's amazing. Right. Well, that's quite good because it's the opposite of like writer's block or creative block. So I definitely love that. And if you're not listening to music, I think you should be listening to podcasts. So that's just a little plug for podcasts.
That's exactly what I do.
Nice. Excellent. I know before we got this conversation started, we started speaking about foodscaping, and I love the fact that, people are starting to convert their home gardens. I grew up in an Italian background where our backyard had no grass. It was basically what we call retro suburbia now, but everything provided food. There was trees with fruits. There was, seasonal vegetables and produce growing all year round. We would make sauce, we would make salami, we'd do all that kind of traditional stuff. And I see a bit of a trend of that coming back. So foodscaping is one of those things that when I saw the word, I thought, wow, that's so clever. You know, my marketing brain went a little bit off the radar and went, oh, you know, foodscaping as opposed to landscaping. So in your work, have you seen a big shift of people wanting to create more food bowls in their own backyard, you know, and especially with some of the recent food shortages, should people be looking at foodscaping rather than landscaping?
Yeah, no, it's definitely a big shift. It kind of went nuts for a little while, then it dropped right back. But it's definitely a surge again for growing home produce. People want to know what goes into it, you know, so they can quite happily put it on their table for their family, knowing that, you know, it's chemical free and, you know, healthy, and knowing that they're growing that plant to its full potential. Also, even little things like backyard chooks, they're, you know, the last probably 3 or 4 jobs I did back home, chooks were a major part of it, you know. So, I mean, yeah, they just go hand in hand, chooks, veggies, fruit trees. Yeah, but it's definitely a big surge is happening again. Even in gardens with, you know, the client spends a lot of money, put a swimming pool in and, you know, all the stuff we don't really need, but then they leave that little bit at the back of the garden and I throw in, you know, half a dozen raised veggie beds and some fruit trees, and yeah, it's amazing. Bees as well, backyard bees, huge.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I actually I was on the train the other day and I went past I don't know what it was, but they had like 6 or 7 beehives just along the train line. And I thought, oh, that's really cool. You know, they're starting to use spaces a bit more wisely. I know there's a lot of rooftop beehives around cities now. And I think with the drop of like, you know, pollinators that are naturally around, you know, having to introduce beehives to help pollinating is good. But, you know, I didn't even think about the whole chooks and beehive incorporation into like a home garden. I think that's what's really cool about foodscaping is that, you know, you get to listen to the client of like, do they want chooks? Do they want beehives? Do they want, you know, a tree house for their kids instead of a cubby house that provides fruit and get the kids into the garden as well? Have you seen a big shift in like kids education as well when it comes to food, nutrition, and all the regenerative farms that you're visiting as well?
100%. Yeah, the kids are all over that stuff now because a lot of schools now are teaching it. I've been involved a little bit with the Stephanie Alexandra program. That was a long time ago now, but you know, once they introduce that sort of stuff into schools, yeah, there's a huge shift because they get the kids to grow the food and then they go into the kitchen and prepare the food and eat the food. So having kids connected to that, it makes them eat better, you know, being a part of producing it makes them definitely eat better.
Yeah, I agree. Like what an amazing way of like the whole planting, seeing it grow, watering, nurturing, and then being able to get the reward of eating it after that as well. Like I think it's just definitely do something to your mindset and at a soul level of just being a real nice nurturer and carer. And, you know, stepping over plants on the curb, not stepping on them, and just having a completely different respect to the environment. I want to talk about your van life in a little bit. Do you refer to it as van lifing?
Oh, hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Good.
We call ourselves graying nomads. So we're not quite grey. We're graying. So yeah, we're graying nomads. And we've met a lot of similar people on the road. Yeah, they're jack of it all and they're ready to live. And yeah, definitely this is the life. It's just incredible what we do. Yeah, what we're doing.
And what's something that you've enjoyed the most about it? And then I'll do the opposite and something that you've hated or had to adjust the most.
Meeting people. Like I love meeting people. The characters you meet on the road are just amazing. We've made some amazing friends. We've made lifetime friends on the road, and we've gone back and forth seeing these people, and then we've met them again on the road somewhere else, and it's just the people that, you know, I love the people. And I mean, Australia as well. Australia, I mean, we wouldn't have been here. We wouldn't be doing what we're doing if it wasn't for COVID. So it's a positive thing that's come out of COVID for what we've done. We were meant to be overseas on our honeymoon, actually. And COVID hit and we just went, too hard. Let's go around Australia. So, yeah, we're yeah, we just love it. There's so much to see in this country. You know,
Yeah.
we everyone should do it once. You know, just even if it's for 12 months. You know, it's yeah. You
Yeah.
won't see it all.
Yeah. How long have you been doing it for?
We're coming into 19 months now. We gave ourselves 12 months. Yeah, it's just we haven't even left the East Coast. So,
Wow.
yeah, we're just starting to head inland now. We're heading towards Longreach as we speak.
Nice. And how have you survived with internet and connectivity, or has it been a blessing to not have connectivity sometimes?
Oh yeah, it's been pretty amazing. Some days there's nothing, and it's beautiful. Yeah, you do need that break. Yeah, but yeah, well, look, we plan if we have to do a bit of book work or things like that. We just plan. Okay, when we get to X, Y, and Z, we'll do our book work, shopping, and then we'll go again. But technology, it's everywhere now. You know, it's scary actually.
Yeah, I know. I know. I unfortunately found myself relying on McDonald's a lot for Wi-Fi. They've changed it that you can only have an hour now, which was good, but I hated being in a space like that. I would buy coffee because I felt bad not, using the internet without purchasing. But yeah, I struggled running a business and having to be online every day. For me, it was a bit of something that I needed to adjust with. What's something that you had to adjust with that you took a little while, or maybe some frustration initially, but then you think, oh, I don't need that. Was there any of those?
Yeah. So having a landscape business in the past, I had every tool known to man and woman. And now I've got a screwdriver, a hammer, and a pair of pliers. That's it. And it's very frustrating. So when something isn't quite right with like maybe something with the van or we're out doing something, I'm just like, I have to go and ask someone. I've never had to do that before. A little bit frustrating when a bloke's out of his shed. It's a struggle.
I can relate. When I had the farm and I had all my tools set up, you never had to plug anything in. Everything was just ready to go. You'd go there and make a cut, leave. It was so convenient. And now everything's packed up and in my parents' storage garage. And I get those moments as well where I think, oh God, I've got a tool that does this so much easier. And here I am doing it a hard way, or having to like see if I can borrow a tool or things like that. But I definitely can have sympathy for that and relate. And I've always thought about, if when I hit the road long term, I would definitely need some kind of ability to have tools or like a little something, just because it is good to tinker with and fix things.
But going back on those people that we meet, there's always someone that's got this thing that we need, and you'll step outside the van, you'll be in a parking lot or a park or whatever, and someone will be chatting to you and all this, they're there with what you need, or they'll say, I'm 2 minutes down the road, follow me, and you can grab it and do what you need to do and then just bring it back. And like, oh, amazing.
Yep. Yeah, I love that.
Country hospitality, it's not dead.
Yeah, right. Okay. So talk to that a little bit more. Yeah. What have you seen?
About country hospitality?
Yeah.
Oh, it's just like they can't give enough up in the country, it's just people talk about it. Oh, country hospitality, this country. It's true. It's just they can't do enough for you. We've just left the town of Emerald, and we were there for 3 weeks, and the people there were just incredible. Like everyone was super nice. They're super friendly. Oh, stay at our place. Oh, you can come here. They didn't want anything in return. They're just happy to have people in their town spending money.
Yeah, I only did it for a month and I can't talk to it, but I agree. Like people were nodding, waving, smiling. I'm just like, what's going on? I was so used to being a city slicker where everyone's like on a mission, got to get somewhere, late to an appointment, not holding doors open or the elevator. And even I lived in an apartment, and even during COVID, no one spoke to each other. We were sitting in the elevator quiet. You go to the country and everyone's like, hey, go on, mate. You look busy. What are you doing there? And can I see your van? And people like pop their head in because mine was hired. So it had the branding. So it was very clear that I was van lifing for a little bit. So I definitely got a lot of those moments. And it was nice to have people take an interest in what you're doing. Yeah,
we've got the rego plate on the van is I love soil.
Oh, I love it.
So yeah, so we we get stopped a lot, and people go, and we also on social media, someone will contact someone, and then they'll go, have a look at this guy's number plate. And I'm like, yeah, that's mine, and and people always stop us just for that. Yeah, it's interesting.
Oh, that's good one. I have to buy that off you one day. Maybe if it's ever for sale, who knows? I want to get to our signature question, and all our guests get to embody and become the soil. Are you ready to be the voice of the soil?
Absolutely.
All right, let's do this. So you are now the soil. What would you say to all of us here on Earth?
Please give back more than you've taken.
Love it. Give back more than what you've taken.
Yeah.
Just
feed me.
Can you give an example of how you can give the soil more than what you take?
Just compost, recycling, manures, just keep putting in. When you take away, you've got to keep putting in. You just can't take from something and not give back. It's like everything in life. You've got to give when you take. You just have to.
Yep. And taking is an apple, is a banana, is the foliage, the flowers. That's all taking.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, it has to take. So the banana, for example, like you said, when it's growing, it's taking. So you take the banana, you've got to put back. You can't expect there to be another bunch of bananas on the next pup next time and it to be okay. You've got to give the love back. You have to.
I agreed and love that. I think that's a really powerful statement for the soil lovers listening, is to give back more than what you take. So when you're out in the garden and you're picking that flower, think about what does the soil and that plant need to re-nourish it and to regenerate it, because you've been able to take beauty from it. So, I think that's a really nice mindset.
Don't take it for granted.
Yeah, I agree. Yep.
Now we take soil for granted, without soil, we don't have anything. We don't have clothes on our backs. We don't have, food, shelter. It's all from soil. We have to give it respect, and we've got to give back.
Yeah, I love that, and I think you and I have both gone down this soil rabbit hole. What was something that really just blew your mind and was so fascinating when you discovered it about soil?
Early on was the old teaspoon thing. It's so many things living in. Well, there's more life in a teaspoon of soil than people on the planet. Like, just mind blowing, And I just got reminded about that. I just read the soil book from Mr. Matthew Evans, and he put that in there as well. And every time I read it, I'm like, it's just mind blowing, and yeah, it's stuck with me ever since I was young, and I'm like, what is this? Give me more, it's fascinating.
Couldn't agree more. And I think that's a great tip to leave the soil lovers with. If people want to hang out with you more, I know you've got your landscaping business. You've also got an Instagram for your trip around Australia, or, this trip. So how can people hang around with you more, Ryan?
So landscaping business is called Uncommon Ground. We're on all the social medias. Our Instagram for our trip is We Are Nomads. So we_are_nomads. And I'm also the face behind Regen Farmers Australia, which is a bit of a secret thing that I'm doing on the side. So I've probably let out a bit of a can of worms there, but yeah.
We can beep it out if you want. We can beep it out if you like. When that comes to the secrets out.
Yeah. So when that becomes a bit more professional, people can come and visit that as well on that'll be on most of your platforms as well. And there's a website coming very soon with a map of all the regen farmers around Australia, farm gates, suppliers. Yeah. So we can travel around, look someone up as we're going, and know that we're going straight to the farmer and giving them the love they deserve.
Yeah, that's awesome. Definitely a tool that I'll use once I get back on the road. Ryan, your story is amazing. What you're doing, meeting the farmers, giving them, someone who's interested in what they're doing, I know lights them up as well. And then being able to be that bridge and conversing that to us and others that are following you, I think it is definitely a missing piece in this jigsaw puzzle, because most people don't know that some farmers are working really, really hard to regenerate and heal the planet. So it's about time they get noticed, and you're giving them the ability to be in the spotlight. So kudos to you and your ongoing trip meeting these regenerative farmers. I'm definitely a big fan and will be following you along.
Thank you, mate. And thank you for what you're doing. Love listening to your podcast. And I'm looking forward to talk to you another time.
Yeah, awesome. Ditto, ditto, ditto. Well, there you go, soil lovers. You've been hanging out with Ryan Young from Uncommon Ground, the landscaping business. All the links that were mentioned during this conversation will be around the podcast show notes and the video. I guess on that note, until next time, get your hands dirty, get outside, and keep digging deeper into our wonderful world of soil. And if you can, jump in a van and hit the van life as well. Until next time, I'm Regenerative. Stay curious. Well, soil lovers, that's enough secrets for one episode. I really hope that you enjoyed all the secrets shared during this conversation. But hey, let's not keep it a secret. Please share this podcast around and make sure that you like it and leave us a review, because that really helps spread the secrets of the soil. Until next time, remember, get outside, get your hands dirty, and keep digging deeper into your soils.